Hello everyone, welcome back to the Toy Corner. My name is Fett and today we'll be adding several new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate figures to the collection. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 1980s toy line was a big part of my childhood, so I can't wait to dig into these updated versions of the toys I grew up with. And first up we have Donatello, the mechanically inclined turtle who fights with the elegant bow staff. You can see through the window box all the lovely accessories he comes with, although keen-eyed viewers may notice that he has quite a few repeat items in there. But for now, let's just go ahead and take a look at the blurb. And that is enough box. Let's get him open. That took just a bit of doing, but we have Donatello out of the box, and he looks just as amazing as Leonardo and Shredder and Slash all did. His design, of course, is reminiscent of the Turtles toy line from Playmates from the 1980s and 90s. He has the cross-shoulder belt, the initial, and of course room for one of his two included bow staffs on his back. Speaking of Leonardo, if you take a look at the two shells, yes, they are different colors, I do like that, but it does look like the scratches on each shell are identical to one another. All these scuff marks, so it does seem like they just used one mold for each of the four turtles, which is fine, I don't mind that, although if we are paying a premium with $55 figures, maybe a little bit of uniqueness to each turtle, it would have been appreciated. Still, it's great to see an updated version of those old Ninja Turtles toys. This is exactly what Donatello would have looked like in my mind way back then. As usual, out of the box we have the two grippy hands, as well as two fists for giving a bit of a business, two more grippy hands because, I don't know, and the two open hands for ninja posing action. And much like Leonardo, he has a head, which does not look like the old toy, which is probably why you're buying these figures, so he has a head that's useless. It's useless to me. Again, they should have just taken this head and given it a different expression, maybe a happy one, maybe one in pondering thought. Donatello does think quite often. It's something other than a head that looks nothing like this toy. Continuing on with accessories, we have two of these shuriken, which Leonardo also came with, and this sort of pizza weapon, which Leonardo also came with. I believe Shredder did too. This weapon and this weapon also repeats with Leonardo, potentially Shredder too. A slice of pizza, and Turtle Com enclosed, and open variety, also came with Leonardo. And of course Donnie's weapon of choice, the bow staff. He does come with two, just like the old toy did, even though in the cartoon he only ever had or used one. But still, I'm glad that they stuck with two for this release. And no, I didn't forget about the unpainted weapons, rack, screw, whatever. You should know how I feel about those by now. But that'll do it for Donnie, and I hate to keep nitpicking the same nitpicks, but I mean, if it's the same problem with all the same turtle figures, I'm just gonna have to talk about it. The figure itself I love, the weapons I love, the accessories for the most part I love, but I could have done without the head, I could have done that without all the extra hands, and the repeat accessories also really weren't necessary. Maybe they could have just split them up and broken them up with the turtles. I mean, are you going to use this? Are you going to pose him with this? Are you going to try to fit it in his belt? I'm not. But I get that the original figures had that, and they are trying to bring back the feel of the original figures. These are wonderful toys. I really, really do love them. It's hard to keep telling you that I love them while also complaining about them. I will try to be less negative from here on out. Donatello's the thinker. This is the critical thinking part. Critical thinking part is over. Let's just get this guy on the shelf with all the love and respect he deserves. Let's leave little nitpicks behind and move along to Rocksteady. Taking a look through the window box, we can see that this is a big, beefy figure that I cannot wait to get open, but beforehand, go ahead and take a look at the blurb. And here he is out of the box, just as weighty and sturdy as you'd think he looks when we were seeing him from the outside looking in. He's got, of course, his usual black tank top, camo pants, boots, got some bullets on his glove, got a, I don't know, is this supposed to be a wristwatch? I guess it's a wristwatch. And I've never noticed this before on the original, but is that like a scar that's been like stitched together or stapled together? That's pretty hardcore. He's got that army helmet. His eyes have a nice red and green shine to them. He has some different washes on his skin just to point out all the lovely detail they have. The wrinkled skin, the teeth, the flared nostrils, the two horns sticking out. This is just a really amazing looking figure. Even though he's a little awkward when looking right at the camera. One thing to note is the belt, though it is a soft plastic, it is permanently attached to his lower waist. The Turtles are the same way, their belts are permanently attached to the original 1980s line. You could remove the belts, mix them, match them, and have fun with them. I would have liked to see that incorporated here, but it's not a big deal. It's not something that I would put on the list of they should have done. It would have been nice, but not really necessary. As usual, out of the box we have the standard gripping hands, which can be swapped out for a set of fists for Toitle mashing time. He has a lovely knife as well as 3 really mini grenades that I'm actually somewhat surprised he was able to hold without too much trouble. Of course, he has his laser gun, and he also has this sewer shield that I could not get into his hands without breaking it. It's the clearance on these gripping hands are so small, I couldn't get the shield in there. It cracked good. I mean, I don't know. I'll put some glue on it. We'll see if we can save it. If not, I guess I can always pull this one off of the weapon sprue. They're almost the same color. Now, issues getting them to hold their weapons has been another sort of a theme with this line. I'm not exactly sure why they have such tight, clear, like maybe the little bit softer plastic or a little bit bigger openings. I'd rather they loosen the hand than so hard to get in that you're worried about breaking it, or in my case, actually breaking it. But that one little thing aside, this is an amazing character with a great sculpt. Let's just see him next to a turtle. So as you can see, he absolutely towers over Donatello. Way bigger. Donatello fighting him lovely, and I love Donnie, but I don't think he stands a chance. But I don't think there's much more to say, so let's move on to the next figure. Next up, we have our turtle with attitude, Raphael. Through the window box, we can already start to see sort of the same accessories, but, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, let's just go ahead and take a look at the beautiful boy sitting in his window box, and of course, a quick glance at the blurb. And here is seemingly everybody's favorite Ninja Turtle out of the box, Raphael. I'm not really going to bother going through the hands. He has all the same hands the other turtles did, all the same accessories the other turtles did. The only thing really to take note of is that his weapons rack is a darker brown, while Donatello's was a more orangish. This was more the color that the original toys were. This, I believe, means that he is actually one of the first runs, which I'm surprised I've managed to get a hold of. Interesting. And if you are curious, the color of this rack is the only difference between any of the first runs and the re-releases and all that. If you take a look at the size on the sprue, these silver painted size, which unfortunately have a bad habit of warping, and these duller colored ones that don't warp, Raphael actually comes with 3 sets of size. As for the warping, I think this could have been avoided if they had actually designed these size to look like the ones that came with the 80s toy, which is what this figure is trying to emulate, but instead they went with a more realistic Psy look. I would have preferred the ones that look more like the figure that he represents, but I get going for a more realistic look. Just what do you think? Let me know. His body, of course, has all the same detailings as the other 2 Leonardo and Donatello did, with the main differences being that his skin is a different color, his bandana is a different color, and his weapons are in the front instead of the back storage. We do have storage on the back for a slice of pizza. He does also come with an alternate head that you can swap on, but his normal head is giving me a lot of trouble popping off, and I really don't want to break it like I did with Rocksteady's sewer shield. And I'm not going to display him with this head, so I don't really see a reason to pop it off. But other than that, there's not really much to say. I love this turtle as much as I have loved the other turtles. There's just a few things that I have to nitpick, but otherwise, it's amazing, and I'm happy to add it to the shelf. When you find Rocksteady, Bebop is often not far behind, especially when it's Toitle Trashin time. Once again, not dwelling on the window box itself, we'll just take a quick look at the blurb and open them up. And here is Bebop out of his packaging, and much like Rocksteady, he's a big fella. I did notice right away that his joints, especially at the feet, are a little bit stiff, at least stiffer than I'd like them to be, but not so much that it feels like they'll break from moving, just, I don't know, it seems like with these figures you either get a little too stiff or way too loose. But just look at all the details, the different textures, the turtle shoulder pads, the vest, the tail, the belt. I didn't even know that he had a leg brace, but apparently he has some knee trouble, so he has a leg brace. His pants are leather and all stitched up. He has these red shoes. This is a fantastic look for this figure. In his accessories, he does include one of the trash can lid shields, but I don't know about trying to force it into his hand after what happened to Rocksteady's. Especially when you consider that his grippy hands, shown here, have pretty tight clearance. It doesn't look like it's going to be easy to get him to hold things, but I guess we'll find out. But before we get into that, we'll show off his punching fist as well as his alternate face, which isn't quite as pink as the other one is. In one hand, he has some sort of a drill gun, and the other hand, he of course has his trusty knife. I suppose this is something that's makes him more close-range combat fighter as opposed to Rocksteady's shooting from a distance. That's my take on it. And yes, I do intend to keep the less pink face on him for, well, one reason is it was really rough to get the other head off, and I'm a little bit worried about some of the stress marks I saw perhaps breaking. I don't want this figure to break, but I also do kind of prefer this face that just sort of blends in with the rest of his body. I don't know if it looks more like the old toy or I don't know. This to me, it feels a little bit more appealing to my senses, we'll say. With Rocksteady and Bebop on my toy shelf, the turtles surely don't stand a chance. Should I also mention he came with one of these? They all come with one of these. I don't like them. Well, if we're going to have Rocksteady and Bebop together, we may as well have all four turtles. So let's go ahead and get Mikey out of his box just after you go ahead and take a quick look at the window and, of course, the blurb on the back. And here we have everybody's favorite party dude out of the box. I always did find Michelangelo's skin color in the old 80s toys to be the most appealing. I don't know, just something about the color green and how the orange pops against it just was really appealing to me. Even though Leonardo was my favorite, aesthetically, I really favored Mikey. And of course, he has all the same articulation as the other turtles. He has all the same shell scuffs as the other turtles. He has his signature belt with his signature initial on it, but it is mostly the same, the only difference being, of course, the weapon holsters, and he does not have the straps like Leo and Donnie do. He does have all the same hands, and all the same extra weapon accessories. And one of these, although he does have a few unique accessories, one of those being a grappling hook that he doesn't really hold on to. And the other being the pizza box with a single slice of pizza instead of just a single slice of pizza. Even his alternate head is better because it has a different expression. It's not just an angry glare again, it's full of personality. I enjoy it, but again, it's not designed to look like another version of this. It's just not. And much like Raphael, Mikey actually comes with 3 sets of his nunchaku. Of course, the first set being these ones here. Another set being these ones with sort of a bendy wire. And the third set being on chains, which I think look the best and are probably how I'm going to display him. I get using these for action poses, but I don't know, I don't see myself using them. I would have preferred like a whirling effect like we got with the NECA Ninja Turtles. Unfortunately, we do have just a little bit of a paint run on. If you look at the mask up here, you can kind of see it there. And if you look in his eyes, the eyes are partially painted orange where they should just be white. It's not super noticeable, it's not a big deal, but when you pay as much as they ask for these figures, you sort of deserve a little higher quality control. That aside, Michelangelo looks awesome and I'm super happy to add him to the shelf, but first, Of course, I had to get a group shot with all 4 turtles. Look at them, they look magnificent. Little nitpicks, little details, problems aside, this is what it was all for, and it's all very worth it. But now Shredder would never allow the odds of 4 versus 2 or 3 if he joins the fight, so of course, we're gonna need a foot soldier. So again, we'll just get a nice little view of the window box and the blurb on the back. And here we are out of the package, and look at that odd, lanky design. Whoever came up with this, it's just so brilliant. This was not how they looked in the comic. It just gave them such an interesting, standout silhouette. The grays, the blues, the purples. This isn't really even how they looked in the cartoon show. The toys just kind of went in their own direction and did their own thing, but I love it. I love how these guys look. I always have. There was something about the foot that always just popped and looked amazing. No additional heads for this one, but we have several hands, starting, of course, with the grippies. We have the fists for some hand-to-hand fighting. Some more relaxed hands if you just want to have them lined up in awaiting orders. Some chopping hands, very martial arts-esque. And some double-barreled finger guns for throwing off awkward salutes, or I'm not entirely sure what the point of these are. Is this a reference? Does anyone know? Of course, you have the twin throwing stars that everyone has. But from there, everything's all original, such as this techno flail, some aggressive-looking hedge trimmers, laser pistol for some distance fighting, and of course a knife should anyone get too close. And of course the recognizable laser rifle, perfect for dealing with some turtles and making sure they don't mess with your master's plans. And in case you're wondering, yes, it has one of these. With as many weapons as the foot comes with, the posing opportunities are just endless, which of course is why I had to buy 3. That and Big Bad Toy Store had a sale and they were only $30 each, so, you know. But adding them together with Rocksteady and Bebop gives us the start of a nice little foot army. Of course, we can't end this video without our obligatory group shot. But what do you think? Will you be adding any of these figures to your collection? Do you agree with my nitpicking, or do you think it is just nitpicking and perhaps I should rearrange my priorities? Whatever you think, I would love to hear it. But until next we meet, be sure to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, simply take care.